Hey guys, welcome again to my YouTube channel, and we are now talking about the current updates on the Iran USA war. So everyone has been talking about this ceasefire agreement that was in place since 8 April, and yesterday high level talks between the Iran and US technical team also took place, led by JD Vance, and on Iranian side by Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister, at Islamabad yesterday. So everyone was thinking about what will be the outcome of this meeting, and everyone, including me, the general public, and I think most of the people, except for few warmongers, and I think the Prime Minister of Israel, they were expecting that there can be some peace and some compromise deal can be put out, and a proper framework can be presented so that this long hostility can be over between these two countries. But I think in the life, what's a phrase that you don't get everything, and it becomes true here also, as the talks between the USA and the Iran side in Islamabad, they completely collapsed. And it was also confirmed by the JD Vance, who was the vice president of the USA, at the press conference held after the talks between both the sides. And the US team went back to Washington without any, we can say, meaningful compromise deal or any future framework on which both sides can talk and can negotiate their differences and can come up with a proper legal framework, architecture framework deal, so that both the countries can work collectively and in an organized manner to end their hostilities, and to move forward in a more prosperous way. So most of you would be thinking in an unhappy manner, why these talks collapsed. So let me give you some important insights from the meeting that I get from my sources. So first of all, the framework that was presented by the both sides in this Islamabad talks, that by the USA and by the Iranian side. So the framework which they presented to each other was very much of maximalistic demands. They were full of maximalistic demands that were not appreciable or were not, we can say, consented to other party, and they were not agreeing to fulfill each other demands. So we can say there was a wide spread of distrust between both the parties. First of all, let's get to what were the demands of both the sides. If we talk about the Iranian side, that has emerged victorious and has taken strategic victory, moral victory from this 40-day war, was that they presented a 10-point framework under which they talked about many points, like the control of Strait of Hormuz, leveling a compensation, and getting toll fees from the ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz that will be used for the reconstruction of Iranian assets, Iranian infrastructure that has been destroyed by the US and Israeli strikes. Also, Iran talked about implementing a complete ceasefire agreement and a long-term end of war in all the other areas of the Middle East, especially in the areas of Lebanon, Yemen, and to bringing in all the hostilities in these countries, and to prevent the, we can say, the responsibilities, the interests, and the rights of various ally groups of the Iran, like Hezbollah, the Houthis, and the Hamas. And America didn't agree too much on this demand, as Netanyahu, who is the Prime Minister of Israel, also talked about Lebanon is not in this ceasefire, and he started bombing the Lebanon just a day after ceasefire, killing more than hundreds and hundreds of people, and unofficial estimates also suggest that thousands have been killed in Lebanon since the so-called ceasefire. So Iran was very much on the side that ceasefire should happen to every place in the Middle East and should extend to all its ally regions also in the Lebanon, in Yemen, and it will not just be constrained to Iran only. And the other demands Iran presented was that it has a right to nuclear enrichment, and it will not bow down before the US demand of bringing the uranium enrichment to 0%. So these were some of the demands that were presented by Iranian team. And the demands that were presented by US, they were also of maximalistic demands. They said that Iran should completely destroy the uranium enrichment program, should bring the uranium enrichment to 0%. They will be in a joint operation, will be controlling the Strait of Hormuz, and America will also be getting fees and will be in a role to negotiate and regulate the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran completely disagreed with. And Strait of Hormuz comes under the territorial water of Oman and Iran, and USA has no say and nothing to do with the Strait of Hormuz control. Also, USA talked about like Iran will end its support to the various ally groups that Iran has supported since last 40 years, like Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthis, and have played as a backbone for the Iranian hegemony in the entire West Asia. So Iran completely disagreed that these are our ally groups and we have like supported them from the last 40 years and we will not abandon them and we will continue supporting these groups. Also, USA also said that Iran will like prevent its ballistic missile programs, will like constrain its ballistic production, its defense production to just its strategic defense, and will not use any types of weapons for like attack on Israel or on any other country, which Iran definitely disagreed with. As Iran also seeks that it was able to emerge victorious in this war, as it had long range ballistic missiles, long range weapons to even hit the basic and strategic areas of Israel and other Gulf nations. And that was the reason that pressure was put on USA was so tremendous that a ceasefire had to be agreed on. If there were no weapons, if there were no ballistic missiles available with Iran, it would have collapsed within 5 or 6 days and nobody would have talked about this ceasefire agreement and regime change would have taken place. And I'm sorry, I will not use the word regime change, I will use the word government change in Iran. So, if we see the demands of both the sides were non-negotiable from each side, USA didn't want it to like work on the framework presented by the Iranian side. Iranian side was also like not very much interested. Even the foreign minister Abbas Araghchi told that we are going to Islamabad for talks with the USA with complete distrust and with 0% interest in the talks and in the promises made by the US, as there have been, we can say previously 2 times also the talks between the US and Iran took place, first by the Qatar and second time in Oman, and both talks like resulted in complete failure and the backstabbing by the USA. USA first of all took Iran to negotiations, the talks like went well, the foreign ministers of Qatar and Oman said the talks are going fine and the deal will be reached, and completely USA like surprisingly attacked Iran the 2 times. So Iran will not gonna trust USA this time now, third time. And Abbas Araghchi also said that we do not trust America 1% even in any of this deal, and if USA wants to continue this war, we will also continue this war, and we are in no hurry to make any type of settlement or negotiation with the USA. So after this complete collapse of this Islamabad talks, and after so much of gap and we can say distrust between both the sides of USA and Iran, you would be thinking about what would be the possible outcomes in the near future. So the more possible future outcome I am seeing is the restarting of the war again between the US and Iran, because you can see the ultimate gains of Benjamin Netanyahu, who is supposedly in a control of Israel but also controls a vast lobby of politicians in USA. He wants that the war should continue because he also has some corruption cases against him in Israel, and he doesn't want that the environment goes normal, so that he will be like hanged to and will be like removed from the government. So he want that Israel be in a complete war situation always, so that he can like prevent his post and can like continue as a prime minister. So I think the tensions will escalate in the near future. The war will also like gonna escalate more and more, and we will gonna have to see like what happens between the Iran and USA. As we have seen one thing, guys, the USA was not able to achieve any of its strategic outcomes and any of its objectives that it had pursued during this Iran war. Neither it was able to change the government of Iran, neither it was able to destroy the ballistic missile capabilities, nor was it able to destroy the nuclear enrichment program facilities of the Iran, and nor what is able to like get a control of Strait of Hormuz. And the Iran, even though with huge disaster to its infrastructure and huge casualties, but it was able to absorb all these casualties, all these infrastructure damages, and has been able to emerge victorious on both strategic and moral front. And now we can see it has a control of Strait of Hormuz. It has emerged as a power of new power center in Middle East, and it has also given a boost to the axis of resistance against the Israeli occupation in the various countries like Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, and Yemen also. So the coming future is really exciting. We will have to see what happens, how will the war goes, and especially we can say that the distressed amount will continue to stay between both the sides as long as we have presidents like Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu on chair, whose words have no credibility in international order. And we can say their IQ and their intelligence level are very much questioned, and their real intent is not peace but to like generate and continue in this warmongering things, so that they can just attack other countries and like fulfill their colonist imperialistic demands and their aspirations. For example, you have heard about this aspiration by the Israel of Greater Israel by capturing the areas from the Nile River in Egypt to the Euphrates River in Iraq and just framing a huge country. And that's impossible nowadays. Like you are going to attack each other country, neighboring countries, get their areas. So of course you will be in war and you will also be devastated. But here are some goals of warmongers. So the coming future is really gonna be a period of test and the patience test also. I hope the leaders on the sides of Iran, I think Iranian side is like behaving very responsibly. They have not like break any ceasefire agreement till now. Even though Israel attacked Lebanon, even though the framework was that Lebanon will also be included in ceasefire, but we know US and Israel are known for like breaking their agreements. Israel attacked Lebanon. It also got into with conflict with Lebanon, killing more than 500 people. But Iran has not broken any ceasefire agreement till now, and we will have to see how the Iran responds to the continuous threats given by the Donald Trump, who I also call a little psycho man. I just don't know. Currently, we need some good and foresight leadership in USA that can see the long-term objectives the USA needs to get, because it is losing its credibility, it is losing its hegemony, and its overall, we can say, strategic independence into the entire Middle East region it once occupied 20 and 30 years ago. So stay tuned for the upcoming updates. I will be monitoring the situation all day and night and will give you updates as soon as possible. Thank you guys.